Hello, in this lesson we are going to focus in one of the most important Power Apps fundamentals, that's reading values from input controls. If you don't understand how to read values from controls like dropdowns, radio buttons, sliders, even galleries, tables, and so on, your formulas may break or behave in strange ways. You may not obtain the information you need or obtain incorrect values. In this video, you're going to learn how to read single values or records. I'm Rudy, I'm a Power Apps developer, and this is one of the lessons from my entire course that you can follow here on YouTube, or if you don't want any interruptions like this one, you can see in the pinned comments. It's in a very affordable price, and I'm sure you like and learn way more stuff than here. Now let's jump to the lesson. In the previous lesson, we covered PowerFX basics, screen structure, and navigation between screens. Now that you understand how this works, the basics of PowerFX, let's understand how we can read inputs from controls. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to read those inputs when the user type a text, a number, when we have a drop-down, a slider control, a radio button, and so on. Of course, I'm not going to explain all of them, so it would get very boring, but you get the concepts, and once you need to use a new one that you never saw, you already understand how it works. So let's start understanding the input controls. Inside the Canvas app interface, well, we already saw that we can insert several controls here, and a lot of them are inputs, which means the user can use it to select information or type information that we can use across the app. Here in the insert, we have this input section where we have several controls. Let's start with one that's most used, is the text input, for example. So I'm going to insert a text input. Now that's inserted, notice that this is a modern control. I can play the app and type something inside it. For example, let's see, I'm just going to type my name, Rudy. So I can type, for example, a number, 18. Alright, but most of the times we need to use this value to apply some logic or to save to a data source and so on. So how can we read this value and use in a formula? Let's see. For this, I'm going to insert a text that's going to be just a display text, so I can display the information that's typed here. So how can I obtain the value 18 in this case and show in here? So I want to show, for example, like this, 18, but I want to get what's typed here. First of all, we need to know the name of the input control. That's this one, is the text input canvas 1. I like to rename it to make it more consistent across my apps and understand what they mean. It's easier to find or to refer to when we have a proper name. Let's say this is going to be an age input. Let's rename it. With it selected, we can rename to txt because it's a text, and then I will call it age input. Something like this. Okay, now we have a different name. It's not that generic name. We can get this name, and here in this display text, I want to show what's typed in there. Right now it's not associated, so if I come here and type 20, it's not going to reflect in the second text. How can we do that? We are going to go to the second control, and here in the text property, instead of having this hard code string, we want to get the text property from the text input. So I'm going to basically paste the name of the text input, that's this other control, and then I'm going to put a dot and then value. So value is the property that gives me back the value I typed inside it. This is for a text input. For other type of inputs, the name might be different. But the good thing is that once you put the control name and put a dot, then you see all the properties that you can access and get information. Well, there are other informations as well, but in this case is the value that we want. Now as you see, we have 20 here. If we play and I type 30 and I click out, it's going to show 30. Notice that I had to click out of it to reflect in the label, because we have an important property for the text inputs that is when the value is going to update. when is it going to detect that something changed? And this property, if we click on it, we can see here in the right panel, that's the trigger output. So it means when the app is going to detect that something changed. And in this case, it's focused out, which means only when I click out of the control. It depends on how you want, but we have other options here, such as delayed. So it takes a couple of milliseconds before it reflects. And we have on key press. Key press is instant. Will depend on when you want to use it. Right now I will put key press, and now if I play, in the moment I change the value, it already reflects in the label. So it's instant. Well, that was the first control. I took more time explaining it because I had to give some context and show some important parts. Now you can see other controls in a quicker way. This lesson will be too long if we go and get more and more controls. So let's break this in more lessons, and now you can start looking at more controls quicker. See you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching, and as I mentioned, I'm going to give you the link to the next lesson, but you can also watch on Udemy, where we don't have many distractions as here on YouTube, and no interruptions, and you still help me. You can still help me if you like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.